Good evening and welcome to tonight's episode of How Is This Real Life, where the headlines are unhinged, the decisions are lawless, and the vibes chaotic with a side of constitution. Now, before we wade into the political swamp, let's take a sacred pause for Juneteenth, a day that honors delayed liberation and the power of truth breaking through silence. It's not just a holiday, it's a reckoning, a reminder and a refusal to forget what freedom really costs. And yet, somehow, Golden Dawn managed to make even that about his budget. Let's get into it. In today's episode of Wait, We Have a Vice President, JD Vance tried logging on to Bluesky, and the platform basically replied, "This account looks fake." Just 30 minutes after Vance published his very first post at a totally not desperate 4:50 p.m. ET, Bluesky's automated system flagged and suspended the account, assuming it was a possible impersonation attempt. Honestly, relatable. Even the algorithm couldn't believe anyone willingly chose to roleplay as JD Vance. To their credit, Bluesky reinstated the account quickly after verifying it was, unfortunately, the real guy, and slapped on a verified badge so we'd all know this wasn't a troll, just the actual vice president saying the quiet part out loud. Because Vance's first post, a full-throated praise of the Supreme Court's decision to uphold Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for minors, citing Justice Thomas's opinion like it was gospel. Now, the incident sparked broader convos about automated moderation and the ongoing tug of war between free speech and platform responsibility, especially as newcomers like Bluesky compete with legacy platforms. But let's be honest, the real news here isn't that a vice president got suspended for 30 minutes. It's that for a brief, beautiful moment, a major tech platform couldn't tell the difference between JD Vance and a bot. And honestly, neither can we. Speaking of people whose relevance keeps confusing the internet, let's check in with the man who thinks federal holidays are more dangerous than dictators. Golden Dawn's got beef with Juneteenth, and somehow it's about the budget. Golden Dawn's got a new grudge, and this time it's against the calendar. In a statement that manages to be both tone deaf and physically performative, Trump said the U.S. has too many non-working holidays and singled out Juneteenth, yes, the federal holiday commemorating the end of slavery, as an example of why America is losing money. Ah, yes, the man who racked up $141 million in golf trips and just threw himself a $45 million birthday parade wants to talk about fiscal responsibility. Baby, if we're broke, it's not because folks got a day off to honor Black liberation. It's because you burned the budget on tanks, bleachers, and birthday rain delays. Let's break it down. Trump's 79th birthday bash billed as a military celebration of the Army's 250th anniversary, but clearly doubling as a cult of personality flex cost $45 million. That's enough to fund Juneteenth celebrations across the country for years. But sure, tell us again how paid holidays are the problem. And this isn't new behavior. Let's not forget he tried to hold a rally in Tulsa on Juneteenth in 2020. Yes, that Tulsa, where one of the worst racial massacres in U.S. history occurred. Then he had the audacity to claim he made Juneteenth famous. Sir, your legacy isn't education, it's erasure. The truth is, when the holiday doesn't center him, it suddenly becomes a liability. When the celebration isn't about Golden Dawn, it's just wasteful. So no, the US isn't losing money because we're finally recognizing the delayed promise of freedom. But if we are hemorrhaging funds, maybe stop hosting multi-million-dollar vanity parades no one asked for. And while Dawn's busy counting holidays instead of hush money payments, the military is firing up a plane literally designed for nuclear war. Because when your surrender demands get laughed out of the Middle East, you need backup in the sky and ego support on the tarmac. Well, grab your emergency popcorn because the Doomsday Plane just landed near DC. And no, this isn't a drill. It's just the latest episode of what in the military-industrial complex is going on. On Tuesday night, a U.S. Air Force E-4B Night Watch, also known as the Doomsday Plane, flew from Barksdale Air Force Base to Joint Base Andrews in Maryland, rocking the call sign Order 01, which definitely didn't calm anybody down. The flight comes amid escalating tensions in the Middle East, and it's sparking serious speculation that U.S. military alert levels have jumped, possibly tied to a very Trump-flavored international flex gone wrong. Because yes, this week, President Trump demanded Iran's unconditional surrender. That's right, a full-on 1945-style surrender, without irony, without allies, and without reading the room. Iran's response, a diplomatic translation of absolutely not, and who even are you? The supreme leader flatly rejected the demand, saying Iran would resist both war and peace if either were imposed. And just for spice, some observers think Tuesday's Doomsday Plane mission was part of protective measures for Trump himself, who reportedly reviewed strike options against Iran but didn't pull the trigger. Now, the E-4B is no ordinary jet. It's a flying command center built to survive a nuclear attack. So when it moves, especially with a name like Order 01, people notice. And when that movement happens days after a surrender demand gets laughed off the geopolitical stage, it starts to look like someone's trying to bluff with a half-burnt deck. Bottom line, the international stakes are climbing fast, and instead of de-escalation, we've got grandstanding doomsday jets and world leaders rejecting ultimatums like bad Tinder bios. Now, don't get too comfortable because the rest of the headlines are just as cursed, from crypto hissy fits to alligator detention centers. It's time for your rapid-fire trip through today's dumpster inferno. Today's quick hits, because apparently the circus runs daily. Golden Dawn's crypto crush. Trump is pushing the House to pass an incredible crypto bill with no delays, no add-ons, and definitely no financial regulation his donors don't like. Nothing screams stable economy like crypto advice from a man whose net worth depends on merch sales and court delays. Border Czar goes full ice mode. Tom Homan is promising immigration crackdowns on farms and hotels after Trump's remarks, because nothing says border security like raiding the salad bar and breakfast buffet. Apparently, bed and breakfast now comes with handcuffs. Florida's Alligator Alcatraz. The Florida Attorney General wants to use an island prison to detain migrants, and yes, they're calling it Alligator Alcatraz, because when in doubt, Florida legislates like a Bond villain on bath salts. Blocked and not funded, a federal judge shut down Trump's attempt to tie state transportation funding to immigration enforcement. Sorry, Don, you can't pave roads with fascism. Virginia man pleads guilty in racist shooting. A man shot two Latino men because he thought they were undocumented immigrants. When xenophobia gets weaponized, no one's immigration status saves them from a bullet or the system that fuels it. Musk calls Trump advisor a snake. Elon Musk lashed out at a top Trump advisor, calling him a snake, which is rich coming from a guy who'd let AI run a daycare. When billionaires start calling each other reptiles, all we hear is hissing from the top. Biden's abortion privacy rule overturned. A judge just blocked the Biden administration's rule meant to protect abortion-related privacy, marking yet another hit to reproductive rights. In this country, your uterus has fewer privacy rights than your TikTok account. GOP congressman says he was run off the road. A Republican lawmaker claims a deranged man tried to run him off the road on the way to work. This is what happens when politics stops being reality TV and starts being Fast and Furious Unhinged edition. Trump turns on Fox over border poll. Trump lashed out at Fox News for publishing a poll showing 53% approval of his border policies. Apparently, the love wasn't loud enough. When your ego needs 100% rating, even Fox starts looking liberal. Now, take a deep breath, because after all that legislative landfill, you deserve one shred of hope. Something that doesn't involve billionaires, border raids, or fascist floating prison. Tell me something good. The bag bans are working, baby. In a rare moment of policy actually doing what it says on the tin, we've got proof that banning plastic bags is actually cleaning up our coastline. A new study released this June analyzed data from over 45,000 volunteer cleanups across U.S. shorelines between 2016 and 2023. Researchers looked at 182 state and local policies, and the verdict: complete bans and bag taxes work, like actually work, especially when done at the state level. In areas that implement strong policies, plastic bag litter dropped by 25 to 47%. And the bigger the initial problem, the bigger the impact. That's right, if your coastline was swimming in plastic, these bans hit the hardest and helped the most. Now, let's not get too smug. Plastic bag litter overall still went up in some places, and experts say we need broader strategies that tackle production, consumption, and waste at the root. But let's celebrate this one. The data says regulations made a visible difference. It's like giving the ocean a little breather, and honestly, she deserves it. So next time someone complains about bringing their reusable bag to the store, just remind them those policies are literally saving the beach. And there you have it. America's political pulse erratic, spiking, and somehow still charging forward without adult supervision. If you're feeling like the country is being run by Reddit comments and reality TV rejects, you're not alone. But stay sharp, stay salty, and remember when the chaos gets louder, so do we. See you tomorrow. Same Sass time, same Sass channel.